Thanksgiving begins a very special time of the year for us. It's the time of peace and reflection, and of getting ready for the new year. One thing we should all be thankful for is that we live in America, where we have the freedom to change things and the opportunity to...
Welcome to the Drunk Turkey Show, starring Big Blue.
Can I say hi, Kim?
Hi. Oh, I love you. You are just like a giant.
Or
Lady Liberty just squirted in my face. And when you do drink with a straw, the myth is you get more drunk because you get more air mixed in.
Hi, Maggie.
Like, you know how the fans going like this? It goes, ooh, yeah, when it hits my butthole. Last time I went to Mexico, I stopped by a little stand and the lady had gloves. I was like, lady, take off those gloves. I need that shit. It wasn't. I'm drinking beer so you can feel good and like it tastes good. What the hell's the point of this?
And Daniel J.
I got a friend named Jonathan Martinez who's not allowed in the library. Yo puede hablar español cuando yo te mando. You look very handsome tonight, LJ.
Every day, it's an everyday thing. I gotta
wake up because his excellence.
Y'all watch them every Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. I get to see them every day. I get to see that. I get to see those chicks every day. What's on his face?
And the other ones.
3000, it still sucks. This is Phil J. Fry, and you're listening to the Drunken Turkey Show. Your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show. I'm your host, Daniel J., and alongside with me is Big Blue on this Wednesday, evening. How you doing, Blue?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I went to my local HEB today to try to get one of those fancy drinks with the dip and the big Lucas on it, but they didn't have any of the thick dips. All they had is liquid dip, and it's all over my hands now, so I'm all sticky.
Man.
As you can see, my cup. Let's turn it around because they're not sponsoring us.
Yeah. We don't want
to cup. It's all chamoy with some mango Lucas, and I put the Mandarin Jarritos hard soda.
Nice. So, before we start, we have some pretty sad news to bring out. Our friend Christy, who was on the show not too long ago, referencing the Amy Malik case, and which we have gotten so much responses in that case. We have several people who want to come forward that know certain things, and we're actually meeting up with two of them tomorrow. But unfortunately, Christy passed away unexpectedly. Foul play, taking her own life, and OD were ruled out immediately. So we're not sure what happened in that situation. But we want to give a moment of silence to our friend Christy, who is a member of our show. May she rest in peace. I know she's with her brother, her father, and Amy right now. It's pretty sad. It was I found out Monday after the show, and I was I myself was pretty devastated by the news. Now I reached out to James Renner, who was a person that she put me in contact with, who has done a lot of extensive work on the Amy Malik case, and he was unaware until early that morning also, and nobody knows. We don't know what happened at this point. It's just really sad.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully.
May she rest in peace. We'll find out later. Maybe she had an illness, but I want to thank her and her family for letting us be part of her life for a second.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in contact with her for a while. She and I have been talking and referencing the Amy Malik case, and she's been wanting us to cover it, and she put us in touch with James, and it's weird, man. You don't expect those type of things, I was expecting to talk to her more referencing this case. We've gotten so many positive feedback and so many people that have come forward in that case who want to talk about that case. And long story short, she won't able to see the justice that Amy deserves.
Yeah. Should be able to see it from up there, man. Should be able to see it from up there.
Yeah. Our thoughts and prayers go out to her kids and her family and everybody else that is, affected by her loss. She's in a better place. Yeah. And so today we're going to be doing something, I guess, a little bit different. We're going to be talking about, we're doing what we call DTS News. And so we're going to just kind of pull up the most, what's going on in the world today, the news, and give our 2 cents on it, so to speak. So, first thing that we want to talk about, let me pull this up real quick, is that there's been an arrest in the Texas mass shooting that occurred a couple of days ago. Francisco Oropesa has been arrested. He was hiding out, I believe, at his aunt's house. When they found him, he was hiding in the dirty laundry in the closet. They've also arrested 4 others in connection of this for harboring. I believe one of them was his wife, his aunt, and others. It is stated that his wife was trying to get in contact with his family members in Mexico. And we're trying to, get him to go out there. And so what are your thoughts on this? It's good news. They finally put this guy behind bars where he deserves. And now the family can move on forward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's one of those cases where it's tough because he was here illegally. So it's one of those, sometimes they hand him over to the other country, but I don't think this time they will. Because he committed a capital murder, I think they're going to go for the death penalty.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. I mean, it kind of, like right now, U.S. forces are being sent to the border because of, apparently there's a tremendous amount of migrants coming in, right? Yeah. And this guy who committed this crime had been deported 4 different times. Had a rap sheet for DWIs and things of that nature. Yet he was allowed to continue to come back. He purchased a house apparently, or maybe his wife did, and even owned weapons that he ended up using for this crime. And so, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, I know it's all retrospect, but
I mean, to me, I think that they probably did a background check on his wife if she's the one that bought the house and bought the guns, because nothing would link them if she says he's still deported and he's here. They don't go check the houses. Right. They don't do that in depth to see who's living there, if anybody's a convicted criminal. But to me, it's like this will keep happening sometimes if we don't get our border secure. I mean, I'm not saying everybody that comes over is a bad person. No, but there is some bad ones that come through all the time because there's so many good ones trying to get through at once instead of trying to do it the right way, trying to go through the the asylum seeking process, or trying to just get a citizenship for the United States from Mexico. That takes time, and people don't want to wait, or people are tired of waiting because they get pushed back because all these asylum seekers are getting pushed ahead of the line. So all those people that have been waiting for a long time keep getting pushed back because the asylum seekers have to go through first sometimes.
Yeah, 100%, man. And they also, you have the bad apples taking advantage of the system. I talked about this last time when it came through with catch and release, that there were, there was this one situation where the media was recording a situation where they were giving migrant children back to who they thought were the parents, and the way those kids were acting, that was not mom and dad. It went viral. It was a couple of years ago, and they ended up meeting up at, I think, like an airport or something like that, and the news team was there thinking that they were going to, capture something, heartwarming. And, you end up seeing the fear in the kids. They're like, no, like, that's not my parents. And, because of whatever the reason may be, and not knowing who these families are, they, in my opinion, it looked like, at least from my point of view, that they released these kids to coyotes. And so it's a sad situation. And it's sad for everybody involved. You have families who are trying to make better for themselves. They're trying to, send money back home to make better for their families and things of that nature. And yet a lot of the times that trip alone is dangerous. They get, I remember hearing a story where this mom sent her kids, and she had given her like birth control and a bunch of other things, plan B, because she knew that there was a high possibility that something was going to happen to her while she was on the trip making it to the United States. Yeah. It's heartbreaking, and it's like, I don't know if there's laws or anything that can fix that, especially if it's coming from outside of the United States coming in. But it needs to stop in those situations, because there's a lot of those stories that have come out where kids are getting trafficked, abused, and so many other things. Oh, yeah. Because they're not accompanied by their parents. They're accompanied by coyotes, mulers, things of that nature. I want to say thank you to Just Stan Oki with your $5 super sticker. We appreciate that.
And so that she wanted to put it, like, if we send flowers, we do plan sending some flowers to the funeral home. We'll see what they have.
Yeah, I just got the information for her viewing and things of that nature not too long ago, and we're going to be sending out some stuff. When it comes to Christy, it's hard, man, because like, she was just on the show. I literally talked to her, I think, the day before she passed. I had told her that some people were coming forward, and she was getting excited about the fact that people were coming forward in the Amy case, and it's unfortunate.
I want to say, I remember when we were going to have on the show last week, before we started the show, she was so nervous because she didn't want any of y'all to find out who she was. Because when she logged in, it put on her screen name. Which was Butterflies. Was it Butterflies?
It was Butterflies. That was who she was.
Yeah, so she was in the chat. That was her name. I was able to change it right before the show. But that's who the member was Butterflies. If y'all talked to her and didn't know exactly her personally, that was her.
Yeah, I had known, like I said, I'd been talking to her probably about 6 weeks or so, trying to get information about the Amy case and things of that nature. And I want to say thank you so much to everybody in the live chat, showing your condolences and things of that nature. We appreciate it. But yeah, this Butterflies with a Z. You were correct. Yeah. She passed, Thomas, unexpectedly. It's from what I understand, it was a medical emergency. Not sure anything more than that, but that's all we know or we're aware of. We have 214 of you guys in here. I want to say thank you guys. I appreciate y'all. If you guys do us a favor and hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. We're only like 60 people away from 36,000 subs. We'd appreciate it if you could help us get there.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah. In other news, I'm not sure if you had heard this, but Ukraine is being accused of attempting to take out Russian President Vladimir Putin by a drone. And let me pull this up. So this says right here, Russia has accused Ukraine on Wednesday of a failed attempt to take out President Vladimir Putin in a drone attack on the Kremlin citadel in Moscow, and threatened to retaliate. Now, one of the weird things about this, so Ukraine has denied it, right? Ukraine has come out, their president has said, no, it wasn't us. However, Ukraine President Zelensky makes a surprise visit to Finland all of a sudden. And to me, it doesn't really look like he's prepared to meet up with a higher, upper state of Finland, their government. I mean, he's dressed in a very relaxed state. Like he got out of his country very quickly.
Yeah.
What do you think, Blue?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that if he was there and Russia knows where he's at, that whole city would be bombed. So I'm pretty sure Russia won't bomb Finland right now. He's gonna have to be moving night by night when he comes back because they're gonna be going after him.
Now, do you think that it is possible that this is some kind of ploy by Russia to give them a reason to, I don't know, use more force against Ukraine?
No, because they have forces, but like if I don't think their goal is to destroy Ukraine. Their goal is to try to just kill the leaders and take over the leadership of them because they still want to control them, and they want to. So that's not their goal, is to destroy. And I don't think they'll use anything that big. But they get desperate enough, they will bomb more cities, and a lot of them.
I mean, I think it's pretty scary, man, because Russia has been known to be somewhat off the hinges, so to speak. You know what I'm saying, when it comes to Vladimir Putin. And this is the actual image of the drone being struck down above the Capitol there in Kremlin or Kremlin. As you can see, something struck it in the air.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't even look like it hit the light pole or in the flagpole. The flag didn't even, like, I don't know, it looks fake to me.
Now this is real. Now my thing was the drone fake? Was it a situation? Look at how close it got to their. I'm assuming this is their Capitol building. I've heard from other news sources this was this place here would have been like somebody attacking the White House, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't there. He being Vladimir Putin, which is another thing why I'm saying, do you think maybe perhaps it could have been, a Russian drone? I mean, it's not very well hidden. It's not flying. It looks like a bird coming in. You're going to see it come in right here by the moon, and then something just shoots it down, and it's done for. I don't know. I don't know. I started to speculate maybe perhaps that this was a possibility for, to give Russia an excuse to increase their force, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things that are at play right now that some of us don't know about, but like, I surf the web a lot sometimes when I'm bored at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I stumbled on something pretty interesting. We all follow our finances, and we all sometimes play our look at stocks. And a lot of people follow Warren Buffett, right?
Right.
And he just sold almost all his shares of a Taiwanese microchip company. And people are speculating that he did this, and a couple other big people sold all their shares. Are speculating this is because if China attacks them, they're going to destroy. That's the first thing the U.S. is going to destroy.
Right.
We already told them that, and it's out there that if they try to conquer Taiwan, that's the first building we're going to just blow it up because they don't want the Chinese to get those chips. These billionaires are already pulling out all their funds from that one company. It's the biggest microchip company in the world. Right. Something's going to happen. And not just that, some of the stock market guys, they're buying, I can't remember what they called it, but they're like, they're counting on it to fail. So they're buying the stocks that when it fails, they're betting against it pretty much.
Right.
So we'll see, man.
I mean, the Federal Reserve just increased the interest rates again another 0.25%. I'm not sure if you saw that today.
Yeah.
Like we need to get somebody who's a lot more versed in economics on the panel. If you know anything about economics or anything, that email me at drunkturkeyshow@gmail.com. We'd like to get you guys' input. But I was watching a video how they increased it. I think it was like a couple of years ago, the Federal Reserve interest rate was at 0.25. And right now, I think it's at 5.25%. And it's increasing everything across the board.
Yeah.
I have a couple businesses, or I run a couple businesses and help out with other ones. And I can tell you that interest rates are through the roof, and they're continuing to go through the roof. And it's actually, in my opinion, doing a lot of damage to certain businesses because they're finding or having a hard time, being able to have their services done when they had maybe perhaps depended on financing from their customers, whether it's home improvement projects, solar projects, vehicles, housing market. All that, in my opinion, is soon to be in some deep trouble.
Yeah. Somebody put down there the 2008 housing market. I did construction when the 2008 housing market hit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got into the medical field. I always thought about getting into the medical field, but when I was working construction, they're like, hey, we went from 80 hours a week to 30.
Damn.
I was like, hey, how am I going to make my car payments? I love cars. I don't get cheap cars back then, So I'm like, I had to figure out something that I always had at least my 40 hours a week. So they're still building apartments here in San Antonio, but they're building no more houses. They're not cheap enough for them to be able to sell them quick enough.
Right. Yeah. In 2008, I had that was around the time I was already in law enforcement, but I was there for maybe a couple of years, and I made my first big purchase. I bought a house in 2008 after the market crashed, and the house that I purchased,
it's a short sale.
Yeah, true. And the house that I purchased was, it was roughly, they were asking $110,000 at the time for the house, right? And from what I understand is the couple was going through a divorce, plus the housing market hit. I ended up buying it for $62,000, well under what it was worth. I think it was valued at the time at $120,000. I still own that property today. It's one of the properties that I rent out. And, I think I'm going to wait until all this stuff clears out, but I do intend on selling that house and my current house, and then buying a brand new spot, some more land. And for my dogs and for me, I don't really like having neighbors too close. I mean, I love my neighbors, don't get me wrong. And if any of you guys are watching, I love y'all. But
well, there's one. There's that one.
I know which one.
The other day, I had my mobile mechanic here at my house, and I had ran an errand, and she had the nerve to come over here and ask him to give her a ride to the gas station because she was out of cigarettes and beer at 11 a.m. in the morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was like a week where she was having some troubles, and about 2 weeks, every day I would get home from work and I would finally get my deep sleep, and my doorbell would ring 3 or 4 times. And by the time I make it to the door, she was gone. And then an hour later, she'd come back again for a whole week. So, yeah, I'm not too happy with her right now.
Cynthia gives us a $10 super chat for Flowers Fund. I will be putting your name also on, and anybody who donates anything today, I'll put your name on the card and on the on what we're sending for Christy. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Jane C comes up with the $1.99. Give us a baby update. Not yet. Nothing yet. It's a good thing, We have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. Now, I hope my wife don't mind, but long story short, our baby is facing downward, facing upward. She's facing the wrong way. Her head's up, so she's in a breech position. And so, what ended up happening is, if she goes into labor, she's going to need to have an emergency C-section. So they just need to see some movement in her dilation, so to speak. And so that hasn't happened yet, but we have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. And if there is movement, then we're going to be going from the doctors to the hospital to have the C-section. And so there's a possibility it could be tomorrow. I was hoping for May 4th just because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and May the 4th be with you, so to speak. And so yeah, it'll probably be tomorrow. But yeah, it's she's had some contractions and things of that nature, but they're not too close or consistent. And so nothing yet. But tomorrow I should have some more news for you guys on it. Deplorable Golden, thank you so much for the $10 super chat, and definitely we'll be sending that out as well. Thank you guys. We appreciate that so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And so, well, anyways, back to what we were talking about. If those things end up going down, right? So the house that I purchased then is now probably, well, once this housing market gets all out of the way, is probably closer to the 200K mark, right? The house that I'm in currently, I purchased it right when interest rates were still at like under 3%, right? So I got a fantastic deal on it, and they sold me the house at rate. So I bought it in, I think it was in 2020. No, yeah, it was in 2020. But I had actually moved into my house in 2017, and I was renting it for a while. And they actually sold it to me at the cost that they were selling it, because it was for sale or for rent when I first moved in. And they sold it to me at the same cost that they were advertising for sale back in 2017 and 2020, which it already had gone up over $100,000 in value by then. And so once this market stuff figures itself out, I'm selling both properties, and hopefully won't have a mortgage. That's the goal, at least. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
That's the goal. But when it comes to, the other stuff with the economics, if you guys know anybody, have them email us. We do want to get into this, because there's a lot of people talking about possibility of like crypto and Bitcoin going back up because of the value of the dollar. What do you think about that? Do you think that that's going to be going in the right way?
I think for a little while it's going to go that way, because that's where all our young minds think of, where they can put their money and not lose it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a loss, no matter where you put it.
Right.
You just got to pull it out at the right time.
Yeah. It's always about that, right? Art Race with the $9.99 super chat. My condolences for the loss of Christy. Thank you so much. We're putting down all of you guys' names down, and we're going to make sure and have everybody attached to it from the Drunk Turkey family. I appreciate every single one of you guys.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
So the next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, let's talk about Kohberger first. Oh, wait, you know what?
There's another one right there, Trish
H. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trish.
We truly appreciate that. Media Coalition challenges gag order again in Idaho murders.
Thank you, Missy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
And George. Thank you. So Media Coalition challenges gag order in Idaho again. Basically, the media had gone forward with, I guess, challenging the gag order, but they went to the Supreme Court of Idaho. And basically, the Supreme Court of Idaho stated that they have a case, but they have to go, through the proper channels. You can't just go to the top, right? And so they've refiled that gag order to be lifted. I think one of the things that we're looking at that they're trying to get their hands on is the 911 phone call. I think that I don't understand why that hasn't been released. I don't understand. That is something that's usually put out there pretty quickly. I don't get why it's not out there. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think bring it up again. I can't see it too well. I mean,
They're challenging the gag order, and one of the things that they're challenging or trying to recuperate, from what I understand, is the 911 tape. And my question is, I don't understand why the 911 tape hasn't been out yet.
okay, yeah, no, I've been wanting to hear that tape.
I mean, dude, once that thing goes live, because I think it will come out. And thank you, Star Sorcerer.
Thank you.
We appreciate that, and everybody, like I said, is going to be on there, on that card, on that flower bouquet. We're going to send a really nice one, and I'll send you guys images of what we've ordered in the whole 9 yards. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
And so the Goncalves family has asked for them to lift up the order, and so has more of the media. And when it comes to the 911 tape, there's rumors out there. I have heard from somebody that I believe this is a I don't want to put too much into it because I think it'll give away, and I don't want anybody to go and attack them. You know what I mean? It's another YouTube creator who is close to one of the families. I'll put it that way. That the family had told them that it was Hunter Johnson. Now, I don't understand how that could be a positive thing for the case or a negative thing for the case. I don't see the relevance there as far as why the 911 call could hinder or cause a situation where Bryan Kohberger doesn't get a fair trial. What do you think, Big Blue?
I think it's they were trying to. Well, one thing I want to start in the beginning. I think they want to try to lift the gag order, the Goncalves family, because I guess they want to be able to talk to more of the other families. I'm pretty sure that they're being told that they can't talk to anybody. Maybe to see what they've been told or what they've heard. I know sometimes the Goncalves, Mr. Goncalves, what's his name again?
Steve,
yeah. I'm pretty sure he wants to still put the word out there, and he's probably getting offers to be on a couple shows, and he can't go out there and talk unless he gets that gag order taken off.
Right. And for me, I just don't get how the 911 will prevent Kohberger from having a fair trial. It just doesn't make any sense to me for us to, unless somebody on that call is implicating somebody in that, that committed the crime. Alice, thank you so much for your generous $30, keeping us up to date while making it fun and delivered by some really cool and polite gentlemen. We really appreciate y'all's time and work. Keep it on. Thank you. We appreciate you so much. So I just don't get it. I don't get how it prevents Kohberger from having a fair trial, because that's what you're trying to prevent, right? You're trying to prevent Kohberger from having a not a fair trial, because one, it could, if he ends up being found guilty and a lot of information is put out there, he could try to appeal it, things of that nature. Or two, maybe perhaps it allows or makes the police or law enforcement and prosecution look bad, thus causing and creating reasonable doubt, right? Those are the 2 or 3 things that I can think of, in my opinion. Thank you, Miles to go. We appreciate you. In loving memory of Christy, yes. I don't get how those 2 things, those don't make any sense to me. What do you think, Blue?
I don't think if they're able to lift it, that he won't get a fair trial. I think right now everybody in that town knows about that case. Everybody in the U.S. pretty much knows about that case. I mean, people in the UK, Australia, Canada, we have people from everywhere that know that case. So for them to say that
go ahead, sorry.
For them to say that they're protecting the gag orders from getting more information out there, there's a lot of information already out there.
Do you think that oh man, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh wait, no, I remember. Do you think that they should have a change of venue in this case? Do you think it should still be happening in Moscow, or do you think that it should move somewhere else in Idaho?
Um, I don't. I think Moscow should be okay because I think even if they move it somewhere else, everybody's heard about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, I haven't heard no other big news come out of Idaho lately.
Nothing really. There's been a lot of conversation. Last night I was actually on the Publicly Buzz, and we'll get into this real quick. I was on the Publicly Buzz channel briefly. He was referencing, I guess, T-Rev and his panel had a conversation with WSU Kim. Thank you, Gina. We appreciate that. It's going to be, I'm used to seeing butterflies in the chat. It's not good, and it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Not seeing her there anymore. But I want to say thank you to all you guys. We'll definitely be putting everybody's information and name or their usernames on our bouquet of flowers and things that we're going to be sending her. It's going to be nice. I can't wait to show you guys. Anywho, so back to Kohberger. And yesterday, there we go. I forgot where I was at. So WSU Kim, she was on the T-Rev channel, and apparently she'd sent him some things, and she was, it sounded like quite a bit attacked, from certain people's in the chat. Maybe not so much T-Rev or his panel, but there was a lot of people in their chat that you can see on Publicly Buzzed, and Publicly Buzzed has had some folks that were, saying some things as well. And, I just want to say that when it comes to Kim, one, she's not just a mom, she's a grandma. So when these people are talking about her and talking her bad and badly, that's somebody's grandma who's concerned, right? Now, they didn't understand what she was referencing because she talked about multiple people passing since the incident. And there's been several people that have passed, not in a similar manner. Nobody's been, taken out in the manner of of Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan, but there's been a lot of overdoses, things of that nature, right? That have come out of that area. People that have taken their own life out of that area, and her concern is that the school isn't doing enough, right? You've had this mass situation that occurred on November 13th. You've had case after case after case in Idaho in that small community where people have passed, right? So when it comes to Kim, and when we've talked to her, there was a lot of things that we didn't put out there, because when we talked to her, I asked her, it was like, that information that you're saying, is that something that somebody told you, or is that information you found on Reddit, 4chan, or whatever the case may be? And some of the information that she has is from that. It's from Reddit, it's from 4chan, it's from other YouTubers. You would be surprised of some of the emails that I get where people are accusing one person or another, or that they've solved the case and they know this and that based on information that they're finding on Facebook, Reddit, 4chan, YouTube, all the social medias. And those folks, in my opinion, I don't know, maybe they do, they haven't disclosed that to me, don't have a vested interest in the area like Kim does. Kim has 2 kids that attend school there, right? And so, like I mentioned on the Publicly Buzzed, is, in my opinion, she has her opinions just like everybody else does. And she has her speculation just like everybody else does. That doesn't discredit the fact that maybe perhaps something was told to her. And when I've talked to her, the things that she has told me, and I've been able to separate those things. I've been able to separate what she was told and her own speculation and her own findings based of all those things, right? And what she was told, I can't vet because I don't have all the information. The only thing that I could do was vet who she was, right? So I do know that her name is Kim. I know what her last name is. I'm not going to disclose that. I do know that she does live in the state of Washington. I have seen her kids' IDs, their school ID. So I do know that her kids attend WSU. I know that her daughter is in a sorority out there on Greek Row, and that her daughter's friend, who I have been able to verify through social media accounts, is friends with somebody who is an athlete or who's dating an athlete out of the University of Idaho. And that person apparently she feels knows something more. That's not something that anybody has told her. That's not something that somebody told her kids. She feels that person knows more about the situation, and the reason being, and it's kind of difficult to explain, not giving names, so I'm going to use the name John, right? John, who is an athlete at the University of Idaho, apparently, according to Kim, is the person that is an alibi for one of the people that were cleared that night or cleared from that situation. I know that she had said some stuff about an alibi, and they were jumping down her throat saying, oh, the only person that would need an alibi would be the killer. So, you're talking about Bryan Kohberger and this, that, and the third, and that's not what she was saying. The alibi that she was referencing was that this supposedly person, and I'll say this person was supposedly Jack DeCour's alibi, that he was one of the people that he was with that night, and attested to apparently him not being at the house. He is a guy that also apparently was one of the people, including Kim's daughter's friend, who is that person that's dating John. They were there apparently that morning. Not her daughter. Her daughter wasn't there. Supposedly she thinks that John was there. Now, why she thinks that John is more involved is because John claims that he was at Kim's daughter's house with Kim's friend that's dating John. And I believe they live in the same house. And that he stayed the night there with her. Kim is skeptical about that because when she went to her daughter's house that night, that guy wasn't there. And her daughter emphasizes that at that time, when Kim was at that house, that John was at that house. Right? And so they also say that they found blood on a washing machine at the laundromat that they share. Now, they live in, I believe, in Pullman, Washington. Now, they said that they've contacted the FBI and Moscow Police Department, which I have been able to verify. She sent me her phone records. Now, what she told them, I don't know. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I can't possibly know. And so I'm not an investigator in this case like that. I'm not privileged to the information that they have, right? Yeah. And so the only thing that I could vet when it came to Kim was her name, the fact that she had students in that area that go to WSU. I was able to vet that the friend of her daughter's was a friend of her daughter's via social media, and I was able to vet that she was dating John through social media. Those things lined up. Now, the rest of it, I can't tell you whether it's true or not. I can't tell you if it's first person or last, but, a lot of people get upset at her because she's coming out and she's worried. And, I don't know. It's just, hold on. If you call in a tip to the FBI, you legally allowed to record your own phone call? I don't know. I think it's different in different states. I know in the state of Texas that you can record a phone call as long as one party to the recording is it knows about it, and that includes the person doing the recording. I don't know about Idaho or Washington State or any of those things. I'm not familiar with that. Now, like I've told everybody before, Kim's story is third person all the way. Like nothing was told to her first person. She'll be the first to say it. A lot of the information that she found out or got or gathered was um, from her
Her
daughter.
children.
Yeah. And so it's not first person. And the information that I've been able to gather that she was told, right? Difference between the speculation, because everybody speculates. I mean, I'm fairly positive Brian Hoffman in here has his own speculation, right? I'm sure he thinks that this is what may have happened or that may have happened without having all the information or knowledge in the case. And I'm sure that if somebody would have told him something, that you can put those two things together, right? Like for instance, if somebody would have told me that a person crashed at 2:00 in the morning, I can assume that maybe somebody involved in that car accident was under the influence of alcohol, given the time of day and night. Does it mean that somebody was under the influence of alcohol? No, but I can speculate that. And if somebody told Kim something, why is she not allowed to speculate or have her own opinion on it, right? Like I told a buddy of mine, opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has them and they all stink. And that's what it is, right? And so when it comes to what she has said and what I have gathered from her, now, I know she told T-Rev, and this is where I also come into that big fish thing, right? Is what she told T-Rev was that there was like 6 people, or what they understood was that there was 6 people. What she had told me and us was there was possibly 3 people, right? Now, what she said was she doesn't know if 3 went inside or if they just saw 2 people outside and there was 1 person that went inside. And maybe that's where they're getting confused and they're thinking there's 6, because she's saying that there was 3 outside and maybe 3 went inside. And they're oh, that's 6 people. No. She said that there was 3 people there. And that at least 1 person that they identified as a guy being a creep. Now, she had got this information, according to her, I believe it was within a week of the situation happening. She showed me the phone records where she contacted. I believe it was she gave me her phone records. I went through every single one of them, tracked down the numbers. One of them was to the Moscow Police Department. One was a couple of them were to Lanier, I want to say it was his name, and a few of them were to the FBI. Now, what she said in those communications were that there was multiple people there, and at least 1 person went inside, and that one of the survivors in the house saw that person, right? And I don't know if she's being threatened, but I'm not going to, disclose who she is and bring that up. You know what I'm saying? And so when it comes to, but some of the kids finish college. Anywho,
Thank you, Alice.
thank you so much again. We appreciate that. And so we know there was multiple people out there. The DoorDash driver, they were out there that night, and at least Bryan Kohberger allegedly, right? That's multiple people there. We know that somebody was identified or seen inside the house. Now, I got that information before the probable cause affidavit was out, that somebody had seen somebody inside. Now, the information that I had gotten, and I think even no, I remember getting like a bunch of emails about it, right? I didn't believe it, because I was like, and I want to know in the live chat, if somebody had told you that they saw if you saw on Reddit or on 4chan, because that's where I saw it, I think it was on Reddit, that one of the surviving persons from the house saw the killer in the house, but didn't call 911 for 8 hours. I didn't believe it prior to the probable cause affidavit. Thank you, Susan Silverstein. We appreciate that. Put a 1 in the chat room if you heard that story beforehand. If you would have believed it, put a 1. If you didn't believe it, or you would have thought it was, crap, put a 2. I want to know what y'all opinions were. We know now that somebody did see someone.
Yeah.
But before the probable cause affidavit came out, right? And that came out, and somebody said, hey, one of those people, one of those persons, whether it was Bethany or Dylan, saw the killer in the house and chose not to call 911 and for 8 hours. Put a 1 if you believe that. I wouldn't believe it. I didn't believe it. I was like, how do you see somebody in the house and not, not believe it? And Bryan, different each stories. You have to understand that
what was 3 again? Because we put it 3.
there is no 3.
I was like
2.
wait.
I didn't believe it. I'd put a 2 right now because I didn't believe that somebody would have seen somebody and it not be true. Now, when it comes to like 2 huge different stories, yeah, I get that. There are different. There's some differences there, but she didn't get it from Bethany. She didn't get it from Dylan. She got it from her kids, who got it from somebody else, who or her kid's friend. And so, just like any other story, it grows as it spreads, right? It's the big fish story. You catch a 5-pounder, you tell your buddy, and then by the 20th person that you told, it turned into a 15-pounder. It happens all the time. And even if there's stories that will go out there where I'll tell somebody, hey, this situation occurred. When I was in law enforcement, I arrested one person, and by the time I told one person, and then the story came back to me, I had arrested like 6 or 7, and I looked like Chuck Norris. That's what happens. Stories get bigger. It's a small town. Now, one thing I will say is she said that she felt that it was drug related. Now, the reason she thought it was drug related or believed it was drug related is because she had asked her daughter, why didn't they call 911? Why did they call 911 or emergency officers after they had called their friends? And her daughter said, I don't know, probably to clean up some stuff. That doesn't make it fact, and that doesn't mean that that's the case. Now, she did say that house was a party house, and that her daughter was aware of it being a party house, and that was a place that some people can go and score drugs, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you don't think that drugs were ever done in that house, and that's being naive. They had parties of upwards to 150 people in there. This is a college town. We've heard the stories of I don't know how many different people that have gotten caught with drugs there. Emma Bailey is one of those people that was responsible, who's in jail right now because another person OD'd off of fentanyl in that area. Yeah. So that stuff exists there. We would be naive to believe that it's not true that perhaps somebody did some type of recreational drug, whether it was marijuana, cocaine, whatever, ecstasy. It's a college town. It's a college house. It's a party house. Those, I don't understand why that's such a big stretch for people. Now, Enan Harsh came out on Truth and Transparency, right? And in his interview with Lena from Truth and Transparency, he said that the rumor around Moscow was that it was drug related. And so if Kim has kids in that area, and the rumor in that area is that this was early on before Bryan was arrested and all those other things. I don't understand why people would have a hard time believing that this lady would think that, or would hear that from her kids. Now, when we talked to her, I had to stop her and say, where'd you hear that? Is that from you putting pieces together, or is that from what somebody told you? And what she said that somebody had told her was that sorority was called first, and that there was somebody in the house that they recognized. They called him the creeper. And she said that there was some other parts of, but I don't remember. I believe those were off of like 4chan or Reddit, from what I understand, or that she heard it off another YouTube that an organ was taken. And I even told her when she told me that, I was like, I don't think that's true. I have it recorded. I'm not going to throw that out there, but Blue was on that conversation. He can attest to it.
Yeah.
I told her, I was like, I don't think that's true. I flat out told her when she brought that up to me. I was like, and I asked her where'd she hear that from? And I think it came from like Reddit or 4chan. She has a right to go and look and speculate and all this other stuff. And, you know, when somebody interviews her and they don't ask the right question, so to speak, or get to the right question, I can see how going down that rabbit hole with what she speculates is going to get some people in, I guess, not in trouble, but you're just going to go down the wrong hole, right? Have you guys heard from Enon lately? We haven't. If anybody knows him and he wants to come out on the show, tell him to hit us up. I'd like to talk to him a little bit. But you know, back to Kim. I'll say this. I asked her, so I knew about the 911 call with Hunter Johnson for a while. I didn't disclose that until Ashley Banfield came out and reported that it was Ethan's best friend. And in the celebration of Live, Hunter Johnson goes up there and states that he's Ethan's best friend. And so once those two things were put out there, I brought it to, you know, the world's attention that this is who we suspect is the person that called 911. I had already known that information for almost a month. Now, when I spoke to Kim, I asked her, I was like, hey, who called, if she knew who called 911, and she told me that she had heard from the people that were outside, that she believes who was outside John, that it was Hunter Johnson. You know, take that for what it is. You know, a lot of people were saying that last night in Publicly Buzz, like, oh, we had heard that it was Hunter Johnson for a long time. And I'm like, so when she gets things right or accurate, you know, it's because she looked up something, and when she's speculating and you think that she's wrong on something, it's because she's a complete liar. It can't be both ways. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I don't agree with you, the Borg. I mean, I don't disagree with you. Banfield equals fake news. I strongly feel that way here recently as well. But, you know, it is what it is. Let me see. Jay Jones says, Kim said Dylan said the killer scratched on the door like the killer. No one could come. See, like I said, stories get bigger. That was never disclosed to us.
Yeah.
You know, that was never disclosed to us. You know, the things that we were disclosed to are that the John situation and her speculation on him, the 911 call, the fact that there was somebody who was seen by one of the victims in the house, that there was at least one person outside and a person inside, possibly two people outside. We know that the DoorDash driver was out there. And so, yeah, she was quoting, like, she was. And she's gone through the rabbit hole. Like, wouldn't you? Like, if your daughter was in college at WSU, and there was somebody, you got to remember, Bryan Kohberger nobody knew who he was, and he was on the loose for 7 weeks. Wouldn't you try to find out as much information as you possibly can?
Yeah,
I would.
And
wouldn't you have your own opinion?
No.
Or speculation?
Here's the thing, though, like, when you go down the rabbit hole, you got to research to make sure it's true, but she doesn't sometimes.
No, you're right. She doesn't.
She brings it back from memory of what she read. Kind of like I was earlier, you know what I mean? I was thinking of the financial stuff. I know what I was talking about, but I couldn't bring up the words because, you know, I was half asleep trying to read this stuff, you know, or watching these videos half asleep.
Right, exactly. And so when it comes to that situation, all I'm saying is, you know, I don't think she should be going on any more YouTube channels anymore. You know, I don't, you know, she's got a right to do whatever she wants. She's a free woman, so she can, but I just don't think it'd probably be the smartest thing. And, you know, I think everybody needs to just chill out about the whole situation, because some people were really getting ugly about her, and it's not warranted. At the end of the day, she's just a concerned mom who's trying to bring attention to the area because university students are still passing away. It may not be in the manner that Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan, and Xana were, but they're still passing away. And she's going on Sunday and wants you on. Going on what Sunday? I mean, I'm happy to go on there and talk to whoever and whatnot. But gonna show her face on Sunday. You know, I don't know if it's a great idea for her, but it you know, I don't know who she's going on with. And I'd be careful because, like I said, there are certain things, like for instance, when she was on our show, right? She brought up, when we had Lena on, she brought up Black Lives Matter, right? And she said that Idaho was known to be a racial place, or supposedly racist place. She brought that up in our private conversations too. And I asked her, what do you mean by that? Talk to me about that. And she said, well, at the football game, there was supposedly somebody waving a flag of BLM. And that the talk around the town was that initially was that maybe perhaps somebody, they thought that that person may have been involved because supposedly Moscow, Idaho has been known to be a racist place. I don't know if any of those things are true or not. And so when I asked her, I was like, so you just saw a flag and you put those two things together. And people around there saw a flag and they put those things together. Nobody with concrete evidence said that that was the case, right? And she agreed. And so, like I said, opinion and speculation, you got to get through all that to get to if there's any truth behind it. And it's kind of like, you know, the big fish story that I mentioned before. Just because it's exaggerated doesn't mean there's not some truth. You know what I'm saying? And I can tell you that she's continuing to look through certain stuff because she didn't tell us at any point that, for instance, Xana's hands or fingers were that badly mutilated or cut off, right? And she went on to the T-Rev show. Thank you so much, Irish. We appreciate that, and thank you for your $9.99. Well, that has come out, I think, on Ashley Banfield, right? And so she's regurgitating a lot of stuff that she hears too. And she comes in with, oh, did you hear, you know, did you know this? Did you know that? Did you know this? And it's not so much that those are things that she knows firsthand as much as those are things that she's hearing. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's get those likes up. We appreciate that. And so for me, yeah, I feel for her. She's just concerned about her kids and concerned about the area. I mean, we talked about, there was a certain University of Idaho professor who was having an improper relationship with a student back in 2011. And he made some statements like that he wanted to have an orgy and then have a mass crime utilizing a gun against those students that he had fantasized having an orgy with. Those students went and told the University of Idaho, and they basically told him that they couldn't inform the authorities because of confidential reasons. They disciplined him, but they didn't inform the authorities. They fired the guy, but that was as far as it went. That guy went and ended up taking that young lady's life after the fact, and then including his own. And, you know, the University of Idaho had an opportunity to report this to the authorities and perhaps maybe have something done and be a little bit proactive, but they chose not to. They chose to put the school first. And I think that's where a lot of her complaints are, is that this place is putting the school first before the lives of the students. You know, you have, and this goes also for the police department that's there. I mean, how many times did they go to Xana's and Ethan's, or Xana, Maddie's, and Kaylee's house for loud noises, and there was people that were drunk, and they're like, "Oh, we don't want to do anything. We just want you to keep it down." They threatened to call the Greek Row or whatever it was, but they never did anything about it. And they allow things for like hazing and stuff to go on. Mikey comes in, was proud to carry a DTS tag last night, bro. Brought sanity to chaos. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you were in there. Like I said, sometimes when you have people listening into somebody talk for the first time and they say something that sounds off, instead of trying to figure out why it sounds off, they jump down her throat. And that shouldn't be the case. You need to find out why. And so, the University of Idaho and Moscow and Pullman, they've put the safety of the kids there on, in my opinion, this is my opinion. They put the safety of the students second to their own agenda, their own financial gain and things of that nature. I mean, look at what they want to do with the house. The University of Idaho wants to knock down the house before the trial. I mean, what does that tell you? What do you think about that?
I think they should have the trial first, have the jury walk the area. That way they can see, how close the eyewitness report is from seeing him to be able to identify him. That might be a good thing to see.
I mean, it also helps you realize, especially if they go at night, right? If they were to go at night, they can see how dark it is in that house to determine whether or not Dylan could get a positive identification of this person, right? Not only that, it's super powerful for the prosecution to go through and see where this occurred. I mean, look at the Alex Murdaugh case. Yeah. Now, I understand that having that house boarded up in the area that is boarded up because that's Greek Row, and it's a reminder of what had occurred, and it possibly could cause financial loss for the school. But they're putting their own needs in front of, this guy. Let's just say Bryan Kohberger did do this. They knock down the house. Nobody ever gets an opportunity to see it. That statement doesn't happen. That feeling doesn't happen with the jury. And you end up having one or two people out of that jury not want to put this guy to death.
There's only one other case that I remember that they tore down the building where the incident happened, and that's the Jeffrey Dahmer case.
Right.
They tore down the apartment building. Like, I see a bunch of other places where they do tours of where the crimes happen. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Yeah. Maybe they don't want to be known for that, but at least let the court case go through and then do whatever you want with it.
Right. I'm not sure how much it is, but I wouldn't be surprised that the University of Idaho is paying at least $43,000 a month for security. I mean, they didn't have to accept a donation of the house, but they wanted to accept a donation so that they can knock it down, make it a memorial so that people can, not have that memory of what had occurred going on. You know what I'm saying? And that's in my opinion. And so, I get why she comes out. She feels, Kim, that is like the students there, they think that, Bryan Kohberger is in jail, so there's nothing that can get to me. And that's not the case.
I doubt it costs that much money to surveillance a house. They only have one patrol car out there.
Well, you'd have to.
And they have it fenced off.
Right. It's private security. So private security typically is a little bit more expensive than having like the police department out there, having officers working overtime. I would assume you're probably looking at paying around $35 to $40 an hour, 24 hours a day. Let me get my calculator on something. I've never used it on my computer. So let's just say it was $45 an hour. And $45 an hour times 24 hours. That's $1,000 a day times 30 days. That's 32,400. So yeah, $43,000 that's probably right. I wouldn't be surprised. And it's not so much that it's $45 that those security guards are making. It's $45 that covers whatever the pay for the security guard, which is probably around somewhere about $18 an hour to $25 an hour. And the rest goes to the security company for their overhead and everything else that goes into that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so there it is. The state got him an extra $2 million to cover the cost. I love you, but Blue, I never understand.
I do mumble a lot, so that's one thing. If you have bad hearing or don't know anybody that mumbles, then it's gonna be hard to understand me.
Right.
Yeah, that's just. I'm like the coach assistant from the Water Boy. You only understand half of what I say.
You can understand him better with the more he drinks. Let's see. M. Foster comes in and says, I find Kim to be concerned mother just sharing what has fallen in her lap. There have been too many deaths in that area, which are concerning. There are drugs. There have been a Brady Giglio. Man, there's been a lot of crap that's gone on. The Brady Giglio, the lying under oath about the body cam footage. I mean, you also had an officer there that took advantage of a underage drinker and forcibly, well, maybe not forcibly, but took advantage of somebody under the influence of alcohol under threat of an arrest and had her perform a sexual favor on him, which ended up getting him, fired and whatnot. And so there's been a lot of shit that goes on there. Now, I will say this, when it comes to a small town like that, a lot of people, I don't think that there was like for instance, like if those ID cards at Bryan Kohberger's house in Pennsylvania, for that to be planted, that would have had to been a multi-agency cover-up, right? I don't think that's possible. That's if that's accurate. I don't know if it is, right? It could be somebody just running with a story. But when it comes to like just the city of Moscow, I will say the smaller the department, the less checks and balances there are. So there is that possibility for things to go in a negative manner. You know what I mean? Where somebody can take advantage of the system, their badge, their position, and without those checks and balances of a larger department, get away with certain things for a certain amount of time.
I can't remember which department I was reading. Oh no, it was the I want to say it was the ATF that they're getting a big lawsuit because they used some kind of way to pay vacation time when they were still working, and they scammed like millions or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's ways to scam, but you're gonna get caught one day.
Yeah.
And everything goes downhill.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
That's a big department for them to try to scam all that money from.
Right. And so, for me, it's just a situation where, I understand, everybody listens to like every word, right? And sometimes the people forget that there's no scripts. This is real life. People say the wrong things. Shit. I was calling Kim Pam for how long?
Hey, you know what? I was gonna bring it up because there's a big strike and all the writers are striking. They want more pay and all this stuff. We don't have writers, guys, so we're still gonna be on here. The fall and the summer episodes are still gonna go on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like I said, we don't have writers, we don't have scripts, like Blue said. None of these people do. And sometimes like for instance, people will listen to certain words that are being used and weren't used and try to key in on certain things, and sometimes things are just said out of improperly or wrong. It happens. It's real life. It happens a lot. And so let me see, but yeah, as far as Kim goes, if she ever does want to come back on the show, she's more than welcome to. I did talk to her last night. And she's she seemed upset, and I was listening into Publicly Buzzed, and I felt that since a lot of that situation started with us, her calling into our channel, I felt that I had the need to, at least try to explain what I knew.
And put on there,
go ahead.
That T-Rev needs to be careful what he says. I mean, everybody on YouTube does.
Yeah.
I mean, one day you can have a channel, one day you can't. It's just what YouTube wants. And if you upset the wrong people too much, then you won't have a channel. So.
Yeah. No. Yeah. For sure. For sure. And like I said, like some of the things, like for instance, the organ thing, right? When she told me that, it sounded very much like that was information that she was gathering from being on certain sites, and that was a rumor. I had seen that rumor. I'd seen a lot of rumors. I'd seen one where there was a guy on, I think it was Reddit, who said that he did certain things, and that he was hiding in the Pocono, or hiding in the mountains of Pennsylvania, or in the woods of Pennsylvania. And this is before Kohberger got arrested. People were thinking like, oh man, I think that was him. That was him. I don't necessarily think that was true, but coincidences do happen sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a big believer in them, but they do happen sometimes. Let's see.
And if y'all ain't subscribers, subscribe. We're almost at 36K. If we get to 36K, I will do a shotgun.
Nice. Yeah. I'll do one too, Blue. I'll do one with you. If the baby's already born. If this happens after the baby, because I can't be drinking before the, if we hear a double knock, that means I got to go because something's going on and baby's coming. And I haven't been drinking or anything since for the last like 2 weeks or so, because if my wife goes into labor, I know I'm the one that has to drive and whatnot. Now, T-Rev didn't say anything bad. He muted and let her talk for over an hour, and all she did was bring up rumors. Yeah, she did bring up a lot of rumors, and I think that there's a difference between, I think that two things can be correct at the same time. I think that somebody could have gotten information from somewhere, and I think people can also have an opinion about rumors. Those things can happen at the same time. Let's see. She said I drive too slow. It's true though. It's true. Sorry, Mark. I know you're lost. I was lost too. It's hard to keep up. Let's see. What about Emma Bailey, the DoorDash driver who's in jail for selling drugs to college students that overdosed in the past? I know that she was been charged with that. Apparently, long story short, was Emma Bailey had sold some narcotics to a kid who was a former president of a fraternity. And he ended up overdosing off of fentanyl. I guess was laced in some of the drugs that he had used. And the weird thing about it, I think, was that he went to the doctor. They revived him. They let him go. And from what I understand, is Emma Bailey went back and picked him up. And there was some text messages. I don't know it completely, but I don't know. A lot of folks have been saying that she's the DoorDash driver. I haven't found where that information is accurate. If you guys know where they implement her as the DoorDash driver, please let me know. Because I've looked for it and I haven't seen that. I've only seen that she, I've had a couple of emails of people saying that she was. Let's see, college kids, 75% true, 25% not of the rumors.
And the fentanyl go ahead.
Go ahead.
I said the fentanyl that I've seen that gets confiscated is in pill form, but the few people that we know that passed away from it died when it was laced in cocaine. I wonder if they crush it up and make it, run it through the cocaine. I'm not sure why. Gotcha. I just saw that the DPS pulled somebody over and they had like 2-point-something million worth of fentanyl in their car.
Where was that at?
It was a car going by Houston. It was somewhere by Houston. It was in the news the other day. And they showed pictures of like the little baggies and like pills.
Let me see. Yeah, dude, that's crazy, man. I don't understand. I don't understand why people are using that to begin with. If it's so deadly, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean it's so deadly that they just passed a bill. I think that pharmacies have to carry Narcan now, and like not even need a prescription to be able to get it.
Mm-hmm.
The nasal Narcan, I think it's the nasal spray kind of the one that kind of brings it back for a second till you get to the hospital and get the rest of your workup. But
Let's see. It says here, authorities noted that law enforcement interviewed an unidentified DoorDash delivery driver who shed light. I thought it said sheet. I was like, wait, what? It is a she who shed light on the timeline and was eliminated as a suspect. Doesn't say he or she. Doesn't say he or she. And this is the only part that I've ever seen referencing the DoorDash driver being eliminated as a suspect. Right now, I don't know if it was Emma Bailey if she was the DoorDash driver. If she was selling narcotics, I will say this. There has been DoorDash drivers that have utilized that occupation to deliver drugs through the service of DoorDash. They'd buy the food, they'd show up, and they'd deliver the drugs. That's true. It's happened in a lot of places. We've seen the bag here. Let me pull this up. There's the bag of food opened. It's behind the sink in an odd place. Do you think it's possible, and this is just speculation, 100% speculation, that if she purchased, drugs from Emma Bailey, who was utilizing DoorDash as a means to deliver the drugs, and that, let's just say, Xana was, purchasing those drugs, wouldn't that be a reason why that bag would be back there looking like it was just opened and something was retrieved? I mean, you can't tell if there's anything inside of it. Like, I can't tell if there's food inside, but if there was food and like it wasn't eaten, don't those things kind of make sense? What do you think, Blue?
no, I don't think so. It's a weird place to put a bag behind the sink knobs. You know what I mean? The faucets. And I think we did a story about this because in one picture you see the flower pot up there, and in another picture it's knocked over. So
It's not knocked over. We've discussed it being knocked over because of the dirt.
yeah,
Let me see something. I'm gonna check this out. DoorDash used to sell drugs.
and then I also wanted to put out there. I'm gonna say it was Atlanta today, right? My thoughts and prayers go out to the people out in Atlanta and the medical center that there was a shooting out there.
So this is Ohio. Ohio man claims he discovered a bag of marijuana at the bottom of his food delivery from DoorDash. Contacted police, and apparently, after the customer discovered the drugs on August 9th, he said the delivery driver returned to his residence, allegedly asking for it back. Oh man, that's insane. But that has happened.
People used a lot of ways, and I remember my here in San Antonio, the story about a Sonic drive-in that they would use as a front. I mean, one of the managers would use as a front.
Yeah.
And he would sell out of there, and they got busted, and they closed down the store and stuff. So it was crazy.
Yeah. Adu, thank you so much for your generous super chat. We appreciate that. Thank you. We appreciate all of you guys. Yeah. You guys are the best. I honestly, truly feel we have the best members and subscribers and folks that are involved in our live chat. I truly do think you guys are the best out there. We thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank y'all very much, man. Don't know the difference y'all done to our lives just by listening to us. Just
Yeah.
giving us something to do.
Yeah, we thank you so much. Sandy G says one BF saw the person. That was the rumor I heard before the probable cause affidavit came out. The rumor I heard was that Bethany saw the person either going up or coming down the stairs towards the front door. And that was what was sent to me via email. I had seen it on a couple of different places, and I didn't believe it. I was like, man, there's no way that they saw this person and didn't call 911 for 8 hours. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's what gets me in my mind. But like we thought about it before. How many times if he wasn't covered in blood, and there was no even though she said she froze in fear, let's put that out the window because kind of assume that's not why she called, even though I think that's what they said. That's why she called. But it's a college house. You know what I mean? People come in and out. They come party, drink, hang out, and leave at all hours of the night. Some of the girls might be single. They might have, guy friends come over for a one-night stand, and they're kind of used to somebody walking out, right?
Right.
But the part that's tricky in the affidavit is that she froze in place when she saw him. So that to me is like, if you had that kind of fear, why don't you go check on your friends? But that's just my head going through thoughts. So.
Let's just say that's not true, right? Let's just say she didn't froze in fear. And that was something that the police added into the probable cause affidavit to excuse why she didn't call 911 right away, right? If they're willing to add that for that purpose, then the police are probably willing to add a lot or not add enough. And, I don't find it a coincidence. Just like there's a lot of things I don't find coincidences. I don't find it a coincidence that the subpoena for Bethany was on the 22nd, and by the 24th there was a motion for more discovery and the Brady Giglio. I don't see. I think there's a correlation there. Could I be wrong? Possibly. I just don't like those coincidences happening, and I feel that they're possibly not real. And so, we've gone way over our hour and a half. We didn't even get to our next topic. We'll talk about this tomorrow.
Okay. I just want to put it out there. If y'all have any cases y'all think we should cover that y'all are interested in, let us know.
Well, tomorrow, Blue, I haven't even discussed this with you. Tomorrow I have two different individuals who've come forward in the Amy Malavik case that want to talk to us about what they know. Okay. One person says that she has significant evidence proving that she knows who committed the crime. And so we're going to be speaking with those two individuals. And I've also got a third individual that has come forward in that case as well, who has sent me a lot of information that possibly ties Dean Runkle, who is suspect, who's been a long time thought to be alleged person of interest. And most recently, Bill McClellan, who is the guy that people think you'll be. Oh yeah, we might be.
But my luck, I'll be covering it from the front lines. So.
Blue, they won't send us. They won't send us. But tomorrow we're gonna be. We might come out in the morning, maybe around 9:30 a.m. Central Time. We'll let you guys know. But if not, we'll be back for sure on Friday night. Yes, rest in peace, butterflies. Yeah. Man, that's just. It's crazy. That's just it's so sad.
Yeah. Our condolences go out to her family. I know they probably don't listen to our show, but our condolences or sent.
Well, I know some of her friends do.
Yeah.
When she came out as a guest, she sent it to a few people, and I know that some of those folks were watching. And if you're watching still, our thoughts and prayers go out to you, because you were closer with her than us, and I can't imagine. I ain't gonna lie, I was in shock for a while. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I
was at work when you told me, and I was like, man, that's crazy. We just talked to her.
Yeah, it was like I found out like at 1 a.m. I got up for some random reason. I woke up and I was looking at my phone, so I couldn't go back to sleep, and I saw what had occurred. I immediately let the guys know, and it's shocking, man. It's a lot of thoughts go through your mind, and we didn't want to speculate. We wanted to wait until something came out, and it ended up being a medical emergency, and I don't know what's behind it or what. I just know that she wasn't feeling well, and one thing led to another. And so, yeah. Steelers fan is correct. I woke her up. She was asleep. And she got mad at me for waking her up at first, but yeah, it was 1 a.m.
Yeah.
It was, we're going to be sending out flowers and a bouquet, and everybody that has sent us a super chat today or a super sticker, we're going to be putting your information on them. We're going to be putting all of that, the money that we received today, towards that bouquet and towards the display that we're going to be sending out there. I want to say thank you again for all of you guys that did. You guys are great. You guys are amazing.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, we'll be back live for sure on Friday night. We might be back tomorrow morning. We'll have more to talk about on Friday. It'll probably be about Amy Malovich's case. This was a case that was brought to us by Christy, and we're not going to stop talking about that case until there's justice for, not just for Amy, but also for Christy as well. You know what I mean? So
it was something she deeply cared about. I saw it and heard it in her voice when we were talking about it the other night.
Yeah, like a lot of people were, they had some comments and things like that, and I'd seen it. And I'll say this, that she was very emotional during our interview with her, and that when she got off the stream, this was her best friend, at the time, and somebody that she's been fighting to find justice in, Amy Malovich. And when she got off the stream, she stayed in the background for a little bit. And when you're backstage, I can see you, Blue can see you, Jaime can see you. You won't be able to see anybody else in the backstage if you're a guest on our show, but we can see our guests backstage. And she was tearing up, and it was very emotional for her, and I wish I could thank her again for coming on and being so strong and telling us about Amy and her relationship with her, and just unfortunate. But I want to thank the mods, thank the subscribers, thank the members, thank you guys. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you next time.
Yeah,
Peace
thank
out.
you guys. Peace out.